So in this video, I want to tell you about a story about how my dad and my mother set me up for financial success, even though my dad died when I was very young. My father died when I was 8 years old, and he was not around hardly at all. I mean, I did learn from that. My mother was more the disciplinarian and more the one. She was home all the time taking care of the kids. And my dad, to make up for not being around, would just, when he did come around, he would just bring gifts. And so, Dad's here. We would love to see Dad because Dad always had the go-kart or the skateboard or something because he had to make up for not being around. And so we have those fond memories of our parents sometimes, but that's not really the person who helped me and drove me. It was my mother, because my mother, when my father died when I was 8 years old, she had to figure things out quickly. She was not a business person. She did not have a degree. And in fact, she was a runaway high school dropout who ran away from home to get married to my father, who was also a dropout and who was basically, whose parents were immigrants from Greece, and he didn't have a good education. He was smart in the way that he built a successful business. He had a very successful restaurant. We had a beautiful house on the water with a yacht in the backyard. He drove a Rolls Royce, but he wasn't very smart book-wise. He just knew how to run a restaurant, and he was very successful at promoting that restaurant. But when he passed away, my mother was the inspiration. She was the one who really showed me what it takes to start from nothing and turn it into something big. She took the furniture when the IRS and the government was coming to take all the assets because my father didn't pay taxes properly and he didn't plan for his death. When everything got taken away, my mother had to sell the only house we lived in. She had nothing. We lived in a motel for several months before she got on her feet and and moved into an apartment for us. And she had 3 kids to raise. What she did, though, is she sold the furniture, all the antiques that she accumulated while she was a housewife. And she became good at that. She realized that she had a knack for going to estate sales and garage sales and buying furniture that she liked, antiques, and then reselling it for a profit. So she started an antique store. And that antique store turned into a very popular antique and jewelry store. And the jewelry store just so happened to be in the 80s, in the early 80s, when gold was taking off. She made a lot of money in the jewelry business and became very successful there. I was working for her as a teenager, and then I was going to become a gemologist because, working in the jewelry business at the time, I thought that was going to be my calling. I actually liked jewelry. I would, while I was working, I would put on necklaces and bracelets and, gold, and we were all decked out. This is the 80s, mind you, so keep that in mind. And so everybody was wearing gold chains and stuff. And my mom was decked out in, emeralds and jewelry. She wore the goods, so to speak, and then sold it every day. So that was the lesson that I learned, is that you don't have to be a high school graduate. You don't have to be a college graduate. You don't have to have a college degree. You just have to have entrepreneurial mindedness. You have to be creative. You have to think of an idea and go for it. The most successful people I know own companies that the people with the degrees work for. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is in life. They just had the guts to make it happen. They had the guts to take the risk. So don't think that you need a degree. Don't think you need to go to college. You don't. In fact, I would say this day and age that the colleges are just indoctrinating people to learn a certain thing that the government wants you to learn. They don't really teach you how to get rich. They don't teach you how to get wealthy. You learn that by watching and copying, I would say mimicking, modeling after other people that are doing things that you admire or want to do. And so get help from people that are doing the things you want to do. That's the fastest way to wealth. That's the fastest way to make money. Take the time to learn about your own upbringing. It may not be the person that you think that you admire or the person that was there for you that actually inspired you. My dad dying early and not taking care of his family kind of motivated me and inspired me to help my mother and to really, really appreciate everything that my mother had to go through. So at first, I was admiring my dad because he had a beautiful house on the water and a yacht in the backyard and drove a fancy car. And, he was a Greek immigrant, basically, at a Greek restaurant, always posing with celebrities and belly dancers at the restaurant. So as a young guy, I thought that was cool. But what was really cool was my mother. My mother, what she did and what she had to do to raise 3 kids from the ashes and really build something. She ended up with a very successful business, and then she ended up following her passion and opening up an animal rescue facility, which turned into one of the largest game farms and zoos in Minnesota at the time, to the point where even Disney World and Busch Gardens were donating trams and little trains and equipment to her animal rescue facility, which was very popular before she retired. And then she donated those animals to the North Dakota Zoo. So she became very successful and followed her dream and her passion. That's what inspired me to do the same. And so I recommend that you look at the people in your life who are inspiring you, even if it's not the person you think it is. Even the things that happen to you that are not the most pleasurable, that maybe not the good things, those are actually the things that help mold you and guide you and push you into the direction that you need to go. There's an old saying that not getting what you want is sometimes a blessing in disguise. So it's not always, if the beautiful girl that you ask out says no, that might be in your best interest. Don't look at that as rejection. Don't look at that as, oh my God, that was my dream girl and she said no to me. I'm going to be devastated. No, say thank you, God, for, guiding me a different direction. It was meant to be. Look at everything in your life as a benefit to you. Act as if the universe is conspiring in your favor. And even when things don't go your way, thank God above that happened that way, because it is in your best interest. Everything is working out in your divine best interest. If you believe that and think that way, then that's exactly how it will work out. So whether you believe it or you don't, whether you think it or you don't, that's true or not, you're right. If you just know that and operate your life as if everything is working out in your best interest, then that's exactly the way it will happen. So I hope you enjoyed that. Good luck to you. And if you have any comments, comment below. I'll be happy to answer them. All right. See you on the next video.